Welcome to the Soul Revival Podcast, where we have deep and meaningful conversations exploring modalities, tools, and healing, guiding you back to your most expansive soul self. Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Revival Podcast. You knew we had to change it up and make it fun for season 3, and I am so excited to announce this very special, unique thing that we're doing for this season, and that is having a special co-host. And I am so excited to have Kama Hagger join me for once a month for the Soul Revival as my co-host. So welcome to the Soul Revival for real.
You for having me, Lindsay. This is so special.
I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped about this episode. I'm pumped about the future for season 3, especially with your background. I think right now, things can be quite heavy in the world. So I think, what you bring, the element of joy for anybody who didn't catch our interview with you in season 2, talk about the work that you do and just introduce yourself as a beautiful soul in this universe doing healing work and the magic that you bring.
Oh, thank you so much. So, yeah, my background comes from very interesting alt lifestyle. I grew up with my dad in a rock band, and I grew up throwing my needs out the window. So, from a young age, I learned to be small and make things easy. And that was my conditioning. But I also had a life full of so much privilege and so much incredible access to, just incredible people, incredible places, a big life. And it was this interesting paradox in duality where I was shaming myself a lot for not, maybe feeling so good, for not feeling like I was in my pure joy, not feeling like I was happy or feeling safe when everyone else told me, like, oh, your life is perfect. Like, what do you have to complain about? So then that just made me play smaller and smaller and smaller and contort more and more and more. Anyways, that fed into lots of people pleasing, lots of codependent relationships, lots of overgiving, lots of losing myself until finally I just lost myself so much. I came home, and when I can go more into that story, but basically I just decided I need to live for me. All the while I was helping people, I had learned that meditation, tapping, Reiki, all of these different tools. I studied ancient Hawaiian healing. These were all amazing resources where just felt myself again, where I could just touch the essence of who I was. So I started to do corporate wellness. I started to help people in all of these different ways that I could come home to themselves. And then my work's only gotten deeper as I have gone deeper in reclaiming my joy and what really looks like authentic joy. Because this is the thing, you might think, like, I mean, we all hear like money can't buy happiness, this
Right.
can't buy happiness. Joy and happiness comes from what brings you nichely, if that's a word,
Yeah.
joy. So I'm so committed to getting people in touch with that what is yours, not what society tells you, not what your mom told you, not what is yours.
Yeah, I love that. And for those listening, you're going to understand why it's a perfect episode for us to kick off with, because today's episode is about following your joy. And to your point, I think each of us have a unique blueprint, but we get so indoctrinated with culture and expectations, and we get bought into the matrix of what society thinks that we should do for joy, which ultimately is about like kind of numbing us out and turning us into lemmings, because like it's all about, getting the best next best material thing. And obviously your story, like so many others, proves that material wealth is not the path to joy and happiness.
No, no, not
So
at all.
I have to ask you, I mean, I obviously follow you on Instagram and get to see all the things that you do to cultivate joy, but what do you feel like brings you the most joy?
Mm. Well, I made a list that I always tell people. This is number one is make a nourishment list, and that can be a joy list too. What nourishes you? What brings you joy? What brings you peace? What brings you back to yourself? And so mine has all kinds of random things, but I would say being in the jungle, like being in a beautiful nature environment, but that is specifically mine, like being in the jungle, just laughter, tomfoolery. I always say tomfoolery, like just silly stuff. Like I'm hosting an adult summer camp at the end of the summer because I just want people to be playful and like play the stupid games and laugh and like, you know, I love that energy just when there's a bunch of people and we're all getting out of our comfort zone. Um, just hosting and being in ceremony with my friends and people I love, other women. I would say like eating amazing, delicious food.
Mm.
I also say I freaking love like UFC and I divorced dad rock, which I call like Creed, Nickelback, all those things that are like embarrassing to listen to. Oh my God. Like I just love those kinds of things. So it's like you're not being also pigeonholed
I
into
was just going to use that word. Yeah.
like, oh, I love meditation. I love, like sound baths. Like whatever, sure, but also what else? Like get out of the confines of whatever your like niche is
Yeah.
and remember yourself.
Right.
Like what brings you joy?
Yeah. I
What
think
about you? I'm curious about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that came to mind as you were talking is playing with puppies. Like nothing, like I have show dogs and I breed dogs and co-breed with another breeder, but visiting the puppies and literally being in a pen of like, 6 to 11 puppies, like nothing, I can't think of anything that gives me much more joy than that. So that's like one of the top things I would say for sure.
I could see that.
And similar to you, being in nature is definitely one. So, but for me, it's like being in the mountains, being in like an enchanted forest in the mountains, like a remote area that you're not really going to see any other humans. You're just going to be, around animals, wildlife. Like that connection to nature is so deep for me. And I think actually goes back to a soul remembrance of a past life. But so that one's definitely a deep one for me.
Ooh, I
And
love
and I'm with you on the food.
the food.
Yeah.
Good. I love it.
Yeah. And I feel like there's such a did you feel like you did inner child work to like re-explore your joy? Because I feel like there's like almost not like not inner child like in the like, deep kind of go down a rabbit hole way that most people think of, but like really tapping back into what gave you the most pure joy
Yeah.
before you got indoctrinated.
Yes, yes. And I remember, as so many of us on our healing journeys do, which avenue do I go through? Like, do I try this? Do I try this? There's so much to do. Is this going to heal me? And I did try it all. But I remember with the inner child work, I actually was at the precipice of going down like deeper coaching route or really just intuiting who my inner child was. And it literally all it took was one page out of my journal. And I remember I wrote down like my inner child loved, or when I was little, I loved dot dot dot. And I just filled in the what I could remember that I loved so much, which was just such a sweet exercise in general. And then yes, I actually the number one thing I loved when I was a little girl was Maui. So I literally moved to Maui. I literally was like, no, this is my number one. And it always has been. It was just like, that's my place. Not everyone has a place,
Yeah.
but like obsessed since I was a little girl. So I was like, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like trust all of these things that just feel innate in me that have never gone away. And then I started to like play with silly things. I'm like, well, I haven't really climbed that many trees. Like I haven't done, so I actually gave myself permission to just play again. And even giving the permission, it starts to slip into your personal interactions. It starts to slip into, I signed up for dance classes, which was transformative for me. So it really is. That is inner child work, but it was not worky at all. It
Right,
was just
exactly. A returning, right?
turning. Yeah. I think we I'm gonna hot take. I think we overcomplicate the inner child work. I think
I
it's
1000% agree with you because, like you said, I mean, I trusted every intuitive hit I got to go down the path of my journey. And like some things I would be like, because I'm a consummate learner, and some things I would be like, okay, that's interesting, but I don't need to go like deep down that rabbit hole. I don't need to like learn how to a practitioner in that modality. It just was of interest to me. Like, I'll hire a healer if I want to do that, if I want to have more on that. But with the inner child work, and I was exposed to it through a community I was in, and I had not even actually thought about it before. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, you know, like, I mean, I did some exploratory like visualizations and stuff like that, but it was definitely not something that I felt like a big calling. And I think that's so important is to like trust, which is going to lead you right to joy because you're trusting in the guidance that your own body is giving you. Like I feel like joy is such a somatic thing. Like we can feel it deeply in our body, either it resonates with us or not. Like I talk a lot about like hell yes or hell no energy. And it's like if it's me, it's still enough.
yeah. Yes. I was actually just gonna ask what you do with like the mid. It's like at least a no for now
Yeah.
because your body will lead you very clearly and especially around joy. Like our natural state of being is joy. And you hear that a lot and you're like, what does that mean? The most practical way is through the body. If you're tuning into the body, you can feel that expansive feeling. That's your homeostasis. That's where we are. That's the remembering. We keep saying remembering of your natural state. So anything else is contraction or like not aligned, just no. So yeah, okay, for you when you say inner child stuff, how did you reconnect? And was it similar? And what is on that list for you too?
Thank you for listening to the Soul Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Stanton. I want to give you a special offer for all those who leave us a 5-star review. All you have to do is take a screenshot of that 5-star review, email it to info@thesoulrevival.com, and every month we're going to be giving away 30 days of the community membership. 30 days of community membership. That's 30 days of being around like-minded people who are on their spiritual expansion journey. All you have to do is give us a 5-star review, snap a screenshot, and email it to info@thesoulrevival.com. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, definitely dance and like singing. So I would I have a sibling who's 6 years younger than me, and I would like have him like sell tickets to like my concerts. And I would put on like a full-blown show. And that, I mean, that was my joy was, I guess, performance. Really, it's performance, which is interesting now because, as an adult, I've done a gazillion speaking engagements and been on a ton of stages in different capacities. So it's interesting to see how that like presents. And I was never nervous. So like I know a lot of people get nervous to, be in the public eye, whether it's on social media, whether it's on like a podcast or a huge speaking stage. I don't get nervous. Like I trust myself to know that I can think on the fly enough to like navigate any speaking situation. But and so it's a comfort zone for me. But
Yeah.
I think that probably I had not really thought about it before you and I had this conversation right now, but I think that's probably because it ties back to a childhood joy of mine, like, to like to be the one like performing basically.
It's like your zone of genius, and that is really where it comes from is your inner child, just whatever they love to do, whatever came naturally. And we swim upstream so much of our lives trying to do all this other random, and it's just crazy, right?
Yeah, well, and especially like in the corporate and business world, I think it's so easy to get pigeonholed. And that's like one thing that I actually think that COVID delivered to us as a gift is like the blurring of those lines and the fact that we don't have to just be one thing. Like we can be so many things, and that's okay. Like I can be in corporate and like bring my spiritual practice into corporate and vice versa, like we don't have to be one narrow thing. We can be all the things.
Exactly. I agree 1000% about COVID just kind of blasting through all of these confines of what we thought. Everything got a little murky and blurry in ways I think we really needed. We needed that shakeup.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think also knowing that we like it's okay to get deeply real, authentic, and personal. Like I feel like that's another gift that we got from it. I mean, obviously I know some people had some real hardship during it, but I do feel like that's another gift that, and it goes back to being a child, right? Because you like we don't think when we're little, we don't think we have any restrictions or like expectations or there's nothing we can't do. So it like opened that door for us that we can be and do anything that we want to do. I mean, that's why like people were, leaving jobs, they were exploring like who they deeply are. It ties back to this very much.
Yeah, it gave people time, I think, to reconnect with themselves. During that time, I was doing a lot of corporate wellness, and there were a lot of people trying new, right? Everyone's baking sourdough, everyone's going on long walks, everyone's
Yeah.
camping, right? And they're getting in touch with probably old versions of themselves that they now have time for.
Super.
They're trying to self-soothe, they're going to their nourishment, even just naturally, instinctually. And I was really lucky to be a part of the corporate wellness thing. Like I noticed a lot of companies kind of in panic trying to help their employees, which is a beautiful thing. But what was happening then is people getting in touch with themselves. So I watched teams of people, hundreds of people sit down and maybe for the first time be like, wait,
What do
how
I
am I
want?
feeling? What do
Yeah.
I want? Who am I?
Yeah.
And wow, what an incredible time. I mean, I watched so many people quit. So many people have
Yeah.
identity crises, but in the ways that we all needed to come home.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's where I think people get a little nervous about even just the reconnection with their joy, because sometimes in the reconnection, there is some grief in knowing like, wow, I have lost this version of me. This is the first time I've thought of this in decades or whatever it may be. And that's the thing is the paradox. You can't have the grief without the joy without the grief. So I enjoy that part too. I don't know if that was your experience or if you felt like you stayed connected. How many did you lose that sense of joy for you?
I think that brings up an interesting connection on the grief part because I talk a lot about duality with grief, and it's present in every aspect and facet of it. I believe, at least in my lived experience. Um, but I feel like it's like almost like a moving target with grief, like where your joy is, because there were things that I like dove deep back into when Roger passed, my husband passed, and then there were things that I couldn't do anymore. And those ebbed and flowed. Like one year I was like all in on something that we used to do together. Another year I was like, nope, can't do that. And it was very much like a give and take. Like it went back and forth. And I'm even finding myself, so this October will be the 6 year anniversary of his passing. And I'm finding myself now getting back into like one thing in specific that I thought I was kind of done with because I just didn't think I could go there. And I'm even starting to explore some things. So we always went out west, and he was extremely athletic, and he loved to, I mean, he was a scratch golfer. Like we did extreme hikes together, like hikes that literally we wouldn't see another human on. And he loved to fly fish. And I love like he brought me into the beauty of fly fishing and just what a amazing connection to nature it is and just gorgeous. I mean, it's like it's such an experience if you've never done it. I'll catch and release for this girl, but especially at night, like just being under the stars out west and just being in oneness like with the rod and the fish and the sky, like it's a beautiful experience. And I thought that's something I could never do again. And I'm like starting to explore, like, I think I could find joy in that again. And you can tell I'm like getting emotional talking about this, but it's been a ride for me to be able to think about exploring that again. And I would not have expected it.
Wow. Wow, Lindsay, that was just thank you so much for sharing that. And for anyone listening, that is just such a beautiful example of what it looks like to come back to different versions of your joy and your authentic self. And expression and how there's so much there. That was like the most beautiful exhibited example of that. And I know you're gonna feel so much in that moment again too. And I even just the way I didn't know what you were gonna tie it into, but with the way you set that stage and the stars in the moment, I could feel like how visceral that experience is and was for you and how much joy it brought. And so I'm happy you're coming home to it. I'm happy you're taking it back in little by little.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Stunning. It it's true though. Yeah. And even when people go through breakups or whatever, and we like lose pieces and parts with the person and the thing, and then it comes back and it ebbs and flows. And so there's no shame in like losing the pieces. Sometimes it's really important that we lose them. I actually think that's something I've never said before because I'm like now like hell bent on never losing myself. I'm like, but
No,
how
I think, and I think that's true because I think like you can't, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I feel like you can't really truly appreciate something until like you move away from it a little bit and then come back to it, like when I do have that experience again, it's going to be like so magical and I know I'm going to get so many signs. Like so it's going to be like it's going to be like a firecracker explosion, versus like if I had forced myself to do it when I wasn't ready to do it, it would not have been a good experience.
Yeah. And we can shut down to it even deeper sometimes, right? So
Mhm.
that's the same thing we've said before, but about listening to your body and just honoring right where you are, and that your joy may look different than it used to. It may look different from day to day, moment to moment. I always love saying that there's no one size fits all for sure, but there's also no one size fits you. So continuing to listen is the highest honor of self, and that is authentic.
Yeah, I love that. And I also was just thinking too that finding micro joys, because I know like it is, it can be heavy. Like, and if you're going through grief, obviously that brings a whole nother factor to it. But just even life right now can be heavy. So finding micro joys, because I feel like this is a way we retrain our subconscious mind to look for bigger and bigger joys. Like the more you find joy in the little things, the more you're going to find like the big, magical, amazing experiences.
Yeah. A mentor of mine said, awe is a muscle. So can you find awe over like this freaking hair tie?
Yeah.
Can you find awe over the most magnificent rainbow, right? Like, can you be in awe of all of the things? And I really find that stillness is the moment where we can tap into joy and awe the most. And I really use those things synonymously. I think they're a similar muscle. But when we're looking, I have you ever had like a tea ceremony or participated in one where it's just,
Oh,
oh my gosh, I always tell people about this. This feels like the mo because if you're having a cup of tea, yeah, sometimes it's a lovely experience, but also sometimes it's like whatever. And if you sit down for a traditional tea ceremony, which I have had the honor of doing a few times, participating, the sounds of the water pouring, the steam like wafting off of these beautiful patterns, the smell of the herbs and or the tea, the like every single thing comes to life so much when you're just still and you observe. And every time I do it, it makes me cry. I always feel so dramatic. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing in the. And so I bring that now to when I make tea, when I even drink my water. I try to like, can I get back in that headspace where everything is technicolor and beautiful and so when in stillness, I just invite you to have a practice around the simplest, most mundane. Get quiet, try to be there with all of your five senses and notice how much joy that brings. Notice how much awe is inspired, how much you can churn up with nothing.
yeah. But it is something. Your imagination is real, and your body doesn't know the difference between your imagination. And I firmly believe actually when we're imagining, we're tapping into like our 5D self, our soul self, at a higher level. And I don't think any of it's quote unquote fake. But I love that you just said that because I mean, I've had experiences where I started to have a sensory experience of Roger, like either a visualization or a scent. And then I follow that nugget, like I follow that path, just like you described with the tea. And it turns into like the most amazing, like visceral experience where we're literally together. And it's because I didn't take it for granted. I called it in and I let it expand.
Yes, you let it expand is really, that is so key. Let it expand when you have that flicker. I also heard a tantric coach a long time ago at some seminar. I can't even remember her name, but it was so powerful. I'll never forget. She says how much we resist pleasure and pleasure, joy, all. I mean, we're speaking in the same realm of these expansive experiences that all feed into one another. We resist it so much. We'll have like a hit of something good in this moment, like, oh, that's like, and then we're like, ah.
I'm good. Yeah.
Like, what the heck? So we've conditioned ourselves out of it. You know, we don't have the time. It's not appropriate. And I'm not even talking like erotic pleasure. I'm talking about just like pleasure of living. But whatever it taps into, we do tend to have a cap on it, how much we're allowed to have. We should be focusing on something else or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Let yourself expand on it. You said, let it expand. Let it expand.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's where the micro joys really come into play because you can just grow on that so much more, if you once you give yourself permission to really be immersed in those experiences, you can just let it expand. Awesome. This was such a great first episode. I love this episode so much. This episode gave me joy.
This episode gave me joy too. What a good topic. I know it could go on and on.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all the conversations we're going to continue to have.
Me too. Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you. If this episode resonated with you, that's not a coincidence. That is spirit leading you to where you are meant to be. Choose soul expansion, choose community, choose growth. Join us at our sacred community where healing is better because we do it together. Go to www.thesoulrevival.com.